Spirit name. Our Father who art in heaven, holy be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and give us our trespasses, as we but deliver us from evil. Amen. Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Okay, discuss the data analytics. So we have also classified the data analytics into four types. So the descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So the descriptive answers the question, what happened, or it just describes the past performance, while the diagnostic answers, why did it happen? And then predictive analytics is answers the question, what is likely to happen, or what would happen? And prescriptive analytics answers the question, what needs to happen? We also discussed the business intelligence. Okay, so and then the the definition of the data and information, knowledge, insight, strategic decisions, and lastly, turning those into action. So from the data, which is the facts or figures, so the data is then processed, analyzed, and interpreted. So usually it is put into context such as a report. So in order to be meaningful and useful. And those information, if it's already passed down or it's already communicated to the people who needs or relevant to the people who makes the decision, so it becomes the knowledge or the theoretical or practical understanding of something. And those knowledge evolve into insight, which is a deep and clear understanding of a complex situation. And then later, those insights will be used to make strategic decisions. So, and then the strategic decisions will become action. So we already discussed that the business intelligence has four main components. So you have the data warehouse, the business analytics, business performance management, and a dashboard. So today we are going to continue the discussion about the data analytics. So as we know, the data nowadays, although abundant na siya, but still the value of the information uh, is considered one of the most important assets of the business to uh, when to report or when to summarize the data gathered. So how it is stored, okay, so and how it is updated. So dapat na ana siya it should be organized. Okay, okay, because assets are informations are assets. So that's why a lot of managers are spending uh, investments on how to capture data in a timely manner and how to store those data so that they can retrieve it later and it cannot be accessed. And there's a protection nga, dili na siya basta-basta ma-access or there are controls para dili basta-basta ma-access ang data because if the data can be accessed by just anyone or including their competitors, so it can lead to a downfall of the business. Okay, so we will discuss about the big data and the four V's, okay, of big data. So when you say big data, it refers to the vast data sets, okay, so that are too large to be analyzed using the standard software tools, and so require new processing technologies. So it is the storage of a vast data sets. So those new processing technologies are called analytics. So because the data is very large or daghan na gyud kaayo, dili ni siya basta-basta ma-analyze using a standard nga software tools. So it requires a new processing technology, which is now we call as data analytics. So the big data are broken down into three categories. So this is the big data is composed of the following. So the first is called the structured data. So it is an organized format that enables it to be input into a relational database management system and analyzed. So examples include the data in the CRM or the ERP systems such as the SAP, the transaction data, customer data, financial data, employee data, and vendor data. So in Oreos, we have the OPIS. Okay, so that OPIS is the storage for all the structured data. So from students and employees. So it is called structured because we can make reports. Okay, so pwede to siya ma-summarize. It can be retrieved anytime. Okay, and interpreted. Structured data is uh, it is a data that has no defined format or structure. So it is typically a free form, usually text heavy. So and making in-depth analysis is difficult. So examples of this structured data are mga word processing documents or mga for example mga emails, calls, okay, mga contracts, audio and video, photos, mga data from the RFID or the radio frequency identification tags, and information contained on the websites and social media. So all of this compose the structured data. So text heavy. Okay. So the big data is characterized by four attributes, but there's actually additional two attributes that we're going to add or discuss later. So the four V's are the following. So you have the volume. So it refers to the amount. Okay, so the quantity of data that exists. So next you have the velocity or the speed at which the data is generated or retrieved and unchanged or updated. So it is also called the flow rate. So the faster nga or how fast siya nga ma-generate, okay, or how fast siya ma-update or ma-change, and how fast we can retrieve those data. Okay, because there are data nga pwede nga makuha dayon or timely, there are data nga kailangan pa siya i-process further just to get the data that we need. The third classification or attribute of the big data is called the variety, or the data is very diverse. Okay, so the variety refers to the diverse forms of data that organizations create and collect. So the data can be structured or unstructured. See, and all the data, all organizations uh, get them every day. Okay, so lahi-lahi nga klase sa data ang gina-store, gina-generate every day. Then you have the veracity. So veracity or the truthfulness or the accuracy of data. So or the extent to which it can be trusted for decision making. So there are data that are dili kayo ina naka-accurate. Okay? So we have to know the veracity or the accuracy of data before using it to come up with our decisions. Okay. So because the more accurate the data, the more it is relevant in our decision making. Okay. And then if the data is inaccurate, so it would most likely cause us to come up with wrong decisions. So before we use that data, we have to test first its veracity or accuracy. So you have volume, so it refers to the amount of data, velocity, or the speed that the data is generated and changed, the variety or how diverse is the form of data that the organizations create and collect, and you have the veracity or the accuracy or truthfulness of the data. Now, the additional V's or the additional attributes of big data are the following. So we have the variability. So the data flows can be inconsistent. So for example, they can exhibit seasonal peaks. So the data can be interpreted in varying ways. So different questions require different interpretations. So not all data are uh, consistent. Okay, so especially when we talk about mga sales or mga cost, so there are times nga dili usually inana ang sales or dili inana usually ang cost. So the performance can be affected, but not necessarily it's the fault of the management. Okay, so every data can be it should be interpreted based on the current conditions. Okay, so we have to ask like for example, nganong nag-decrease man ang sales? Nganong grabe man ang pag-decrease sa sales? Okay, is it the management's fault, or perhaps there's an external reason why it happened? Let us say season ang business. So dili sa tanan panahon nga na times nga taas og halin, na times nga hina kayo og halin. Or perhaps it is brought by an external event, so such as the pandemic. Okay, so this could be a reason nga nung inconsistent atong data. So we have to interpret the data based on the conditions nga at the time that we gathered the data. And then lastly, you have the value or the benefit that the organization receives from data. So as we know, gathering data, especially in a timely and relevant manner, is very costly. Okay, so you have to, let's say, you have to employ people who will store those data, who will gather those data. We will use a system para the data is updated or real time atong makuha nga data. So so though data analytics, before we invest on those technologies, okay, or before we even hire people for this specific job, there should be a cost benefit analysis first. Okay, so the benefit from receiving those data should always be higher than the cost of getting those data. Okay? Kaya kung mas gasto pa ang cost of getting those data, then it is not justifiable or not feasible uh, to invest in those. Okay? So in the data analytics, we have to perform a what we know as cost benefit analysis. So the benefits should always outweigh the cost. Okay, so now let's talk about the data science. So it is a field of study and analysis that uses algorithms and processes to extract the hidden knowledge and insights from data. So of course, the data is not yet an information. Okay, so the data needs to be processed further, okay, para siya mahimong information. So when we say information, it is now relevant for the decision making. Okay, not all data are can be processed into information. Okay, so the objective of data science is to use the both the structured and unstructured data to extract information that can be used to develop knowledge and insights for forecasting and strategic decision making. So for example, okay, so sa OPIS, so the structured data that we can get there is the enrollment statistics. Okay? So based on the enrollment statistics, we found out nga medyo niubos karon nga school year. Okay? So those data is being paired with the unstructured data. So perhaps the unstructured data can come from mga news or from the pronouncements of the government. So such as the face-to-face classes are not allowed, okay? Or there are a lot of employees nga nawadaan og trabaho, okay? So by using those data from the unstructured, okay? Or using the unstructured data, so pwede na siya nimo ma-connect-connect nganong ubos ang enrollment statistics compared last year. So probably because of the pandemic, so dagay mga parents nga cannot anymore sustain the tuition, or perhaps some students do not prefer the face-to-face classes. That's why they decided not to study now. Okay, that study this school year. So from there, so we can already have an insight or knowledge, okay, or the connection of the data of your structured and unstructured. So we can now make a forecast, or we can already use that as our basis for making decisions. So what is the difference between the data analytics and data science? Okay, so the only difference between the two of them is the goals. Okay, so the goal of the data analytics is to provide information about issues that the analyst or manager either knows, or knows he or does, or either knows he or she does not know. Okay? So the manager already knows, tapos napag yun siya naibaon niya, wala niya naibawaan. Okay? So kumbaga na ay data nga gusto niya mga maibawaan pero di siya maka-access, or wala siya access. So it's called the known unknowns. Okay? Knowing something that you do not know. Okay? Okay, like for example, we are accountants, so probably we know nga we don't have an expertise on the medical field. Okay, so that's an example of known unknowns. So we do not know how to test how to measure the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. So that is still known unknowns. So that is the goal of the data analytics. So addressing the issues that that they know, or the manager knows, and what are the information nga they think they do not know. On the other hand, the goal of the data science is to provide the actionable insights into issues where the analyst or manager does not know what he or she does not know. Okay, so the manager does not know what he or she does not know, or this is known as the unknown unknowns. Okay, diba? There are times nga we think we already know everything, but actually we are experiencing what we term as unknown unknowns. That we do not know that we have not yet known everything. Okay, so that's the goal of the data science, to provide insight to the manager on what are the things that the manager does not know nga wala siya kay balo nga wa siya kay balo. Okay, so to give you siguro a situation. So usually we speak on something we think we know. Okay. Okay. Let's say, for example, uh, okay, let's talk about aliens, di ba? it belongs to the known unknowns. Ano, pwede siya sa unknown unknowns because we do not know if really aliens exist. Okay? Despite of the may mga evidence, um, some of us believes that there are aliens, some of us don't. Okay? But we do not know, 'di ba, if they really exist or not. Okay? Data and data science as assets, good data and good data science, so being used together can lead to large productivity gains for a company and the ability to do things it has never done before. So the data is very important. As I said, it is considered as a very valuable asset of the company. So it is important for the company to invest. Okay, so we should not only strive to have a good data, but to have a good data science. So it can be used to, we can use those information for perhaps for strategy decision making, for updating our products and services, for knowing better our customers and our employees. So we need data to become a better company, okay, or to win the competition. So if you have the most, we have the best data and we have the good data science, this could probably uh, give us a leverage or edge over other competitors. So the data and data science together can provide the following opportunities and benefits to an organization. So they can enable the organization to make decisions based on data and evidence. So evidence based ang paghimo sa data. Okay? So although there are a lot of data, usually pag dili man gud makuha ang tanan data or there are a lot of uncertainties. So usually the people or the managers will base their decisions based on hunch or based on kanang guess or based on their instinct. Okay? So of course there are times nga mutama man pod, okay? But it will not give us an assurance or it will not give us confidence about our decisions because it is not based on data and evidence. Okay? So another benefit, so the organization can leverage the relevant information from the various data sources in a timely manner. So especially if those organizations are very updated on what is happening, okay, and what will possibly happen. So they are usually the organization that will survive. Okay, so if organizations know nga mo ni ang possible trend, so they can possibly adapt to that trend or to that new technology. So for example, uh, if ang school na nay online class sa una, so karon dili na tana sila kumbaga dili na kayo inana ka difficult ang adjustment sa ilang mga students, okay, or sa ilang mga teachers, or how fast they can disseminate information on how to use the online class. So it is a um, it is a very critical point because dili tanan school baka adapt dayon sa online classes. When the cloud is used, the organization can get the answers it needs using any device anytime. So it is a new technology. So uh, we are already using cloud. Yeah, so a lot of organizations are already using cloud. So they do their accounting, so storing in the cloud. So anytime, any device, uh, they can they can retrieve that. The organization can transform data into actionable insights. So if there's a good data and data science, then the data can be used to become actionable insights. And again, these insights mo ni ang gamiton sa management to to come up with their strategies or perhaps tactics in making the company achieve their purpose, achieve their vision and mission. Because if we only gather data and those data are not turned into actions, then those data that we gathered are bad investment. Okay. Another benefit is the organization can discover new opportunities. So for example, na pwede din magamit o technology or we can use the app para mapapaspas ang ato ang sales. Okay? So so there's a better way how to survive the competition. Okay, so for example, a lot of businesses in Butuan are now partnering with mga online delivery apps such as the Foodpanda and uh, perhaps the GoFetch. Okay, so these are the new apps. So even though there's a lockdown, they can still uh, increase their sales. So the organization can also increase the competitive advantage, or the competitive advantage is your edge over your competitors. So kung mas naa kay good information, most likely you will have a more leverage over your competitors. So management can explore data to get answers to questions. Okay. So the result can be maximized revenue. So the result of having a good data and good science are the following. So perhaps you can have a maximized revenue, improved operations, and mitigated risk. Okay. So the return on investment from the better decision making results from using data and data science can be significant. However, the data analytics is not without a challenge. Okay. So there are still limitations of managing the data analytics. So what are these challenges? So one of that is the data capture. Okay, so it's the most challenging. Dili basta-basta uh, mo capture og data, and especially that we do not know if we really need those data. Okay, so data curation, or this is also known as the data processing. So how do we summarize, or how do we um, interpret that? So the data storage is also could be a problem, okay? Especially if the company is not using softwares or database. So they will rely on their manual paper files nga gina-store nila sa ilang filing cabinet, okay? So especially kung redundant ang mga data, so it would pose a high problem. Dili ka basta-basta maka-decide because you have to gather all those data first and summarize. Security and privacy protection. So, especially in the Philippines, that we have the Data Privacy Act. So we have to store data. So the data storage is now limited. Okay. So ang dili ka basta-basta pangayo og data without asking the permission first of the person or the organization nga imong gikuhaan og data. So the data search, the data sharing, the data transfer, data analysis, and data visualization. So these are um, the transactions nga would pose challenges of managing the data analytics. So in addition to those challenges, so we have specific challenges. So we have the growth of data and especially of unstructured data. So medyo lisod kayo i-synthesize ang mga structured data because they are heavily text. So most words ra gid imong makita halos kasagaran. So perhaps it could be the comments of all the people in your Facebook pages. So the news that you watch or you read every day. Okay. So we have seen an era nga daghan kayo og data. Okay? Daghan kay information. So unlike before nga the data is very scarce. So then second is the need to generate insights in a timely manner in order for the data to be useful. So the challenge there is how to get the data in a timely manner. Kumbaga, as much as possible, kung pwede, real time makuha nimo ang data para makahimo ka og timely nga decision. And then you have recruiting and retaining the big data talent. So because of the importance of the data, so a lot of profession has been created solely for managing and capturing the data. So we have other organizations hired mga data engineers, data scientists, mga business intelligence analysts. So usually these people taas ang salary. Okay, so and since these are the new professions, that's why there is a difficulty in hiring, okay, or looking for people with these competencies. And when they do hired, they are paid very kuan, high salaries. So so it's very costly. That's why we have to compare it with the benefits. And usually the challenge there is how to compare or how to compute the benefits of investing in the data science. Okay, so that's it for now. So just to recap what we have discussed today. So we begin with big data and its four V's. Okay, and then we classified the data in no, it's not three but two. So you have the structured and unstructured data. But I think napay isa ani which is called the hybrid data. So walang nabutang diri. So the hybrid data is the combination of the structured and the mix. So there are data nga naka-format siya, naka-organized siya, but it is also coupled with mga heavy text. Okay. Okay, so we also discussed the the four V's. So volume, velocity, variety, veracity, and the additional V's that characterize the data such as the variability and value. We discussed the field of data science and what is the difference between the data analytics and data science. So the opportunities and benefits of investing in the data science. And lastly are the challenges, okay, of managing those data. Okay, so if you have questions, clarifications, so please feel free to ask them.